All right, 𝗪𝗵𝗲 2026. It has been a while, about 9 months or so since we have done a 𝗪𝗵𝗲 series. So glad to get back into conversation. There's lots to talk about. If this is your first time listening in to our 𝗪𝗵𝗲 discussion, the 𝗪𝗵𝗲 is a discussion series hosted by 𝗪𝗵𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 LLC and the division 𝗪𝗵𝗃 Multimedia, formerly MAC Productions. We focus on the intersection of management, technology, community, future industry trends. It serves as a platform for professionals, innovators, and thought leaders to explore topics such as business operations, digital transformation, and project management. Key aspects of the 𝗪𝗵𝗲 is the subject matter. Of course, our discussions often center around system integration and future trends and technology within the industries we serve. Our target audience are owners, managers, and administrators of decision makers for the client base to which we serve. Those looking to improve their organizational complexity and different aspects of their workflow. The format, in times past, we've had interviews, we had candid industry subject matter experts come on. We've had candid discussions about covering topics that were hard to forefront to mind, or that were industry hot topics. So the platforms we used to use in the past, Blog Talk Radio, SoundCloud, and of course, of late, YouTube. So we are newly launching streams on Restream into YouTube. Restream has the nice little background that we like, has the presentation that we're used to with some of our virtual meetings. So we could just flow right into that on this platform. So and it went pretty well on the launch. The book launch, The Universal Language of Love, we were able to virtually launch that using Restream, and it streamed pretty well outside of some of the documents which we'll probably have to upload prior to, with some of the technical aspects of streaming to YouTube. But in any case, the discussion of today is wellness when everything changes. When we are well, we think different, we act different, we make decisions differently. And wellness would be different for each individual. You know, nothing missing, nothing broken, where you're whole, right? So we're just talking about that. It is an ongoing journey for each and every one of us. And so we're going to talk about some different aspects of that, a high-level overview. We are examining, whether your organization is thriving or just surviving this wave of industry turbulence, right? So we are diving deep into what we're calling the resilient workplace, because we, after our 20-year anniversary, 2024, 2025, we are talking about being engineered for longevity over the long haul. And part of that is being resilient in the workplace and redefining, what it means to lead through this constant change. It's constant change now. I mean, it was, we've come, it's like it's the new norm, this constant change. So we're going to touch upon the progressive leader, how to lead through uncertainty, leading through cultural turbulence, industry turbulence, through industry, cultural, and market turbulence. Then the mindful manager. So there has to be a vision and a mission, and then there has to be execution. And so the mindful manager understands that that surface wellness is not conducive to deep resilience. And so they'll stop treating, wellness as a checkbox, something that you check off. Okay, yeah, I gave you the book, be well, or you did the activity, be well. No, it's a process. It's going to take time. And so there's has to be a culture that's implemented with some protocols as to how teams are going to manage these high pressure situations. Yes. So and then the calm culture to be able to do that. What does that look like? What kind of projects would that entail? And so I'm going to go through, of course, some of the projects that we are pulling together in that respect, and how that's relevant to all of the industry, cultural, and market changes. And so wellness is not just about the 9 to 5. We're exploring, some of the typical ways to which folks relieve stress, anxiety, and some uncertainty: arts, sports, faith, the physical activity, holistic, supportive environments, those types of things, and examining, what those infrastructures are like, today, as new generations begin to take the reins, right? So, and then the uncertainty, this uncertainty, we could change it by acknowledging the former three. We can create this agile style change management and take the market stress and make it an advantage. If organizations are able to translate, this stress into organizational growth, and an advantage in the way that they handle it, then they're able to navigate those ebbs and flows and that roller coaster in a way that's fun, right? And not dangerous or flighty or by chance. So that's just a high level overview, and we won't be able to kind of unpack all of that within this time frame. But we definitely have a lot to talk. We have a lot of talking points that we can talk about on this, because it's very forefront to mind. It's very relevant today, and something we're all dealing with immediately. Immediately today. So, let's start in the resilient workplace. Let's talk about the progressive leader and what that might look like. I'm examining, what, how should I lead? How should one lead? What are some ideas about that? And so we are suggesting that in a climate of high anxiety and market volatility, a progressive leader acts as a stabilizing force. Stabilizing force, who balances transparency and empathy and trust, right? So if we are going to be engineered for longevity, stability is definitely stability, and we use the word stability and sustainability, carrying out activities or putting plans in place that are sustainable, not just short term, but for long term or long periods of time. So a stabilizing force. That means you may have to step away, do your breathing exercises, get composed, have your cheat sheet of what you're going to say, like I do today, so that you can have some clarity and show strength when you're leading through uncertainty. And so that fostering a psychological safety, right? Because like I said, you could be on that ebb and flow on that roller coaster just as they are. However, by kind of fostering this psychological safety and with mission and vision and strategic planning, being very clear on role definitions and the tactical work to be done, you can create that psychological safety where they're like, okay, this is my scope of work. This is my these are the goals that we're trying to meet. And even in the ebbs and flows of a situation, they have those milestones, those benchmarks that they can kind of hold on to and feel like progress is being made. And then it also gives a clear sense of purpose and keeps those teams anchored. I know that works for me. I definitely am drawn to leaders who are stable, who are have clear sense of purpose, who are charting on a mission or vision. And so that's impactful for me when I'm a part of other organizations and I try to amplify that as well within our organization. And we've always talked about the compass. Charting paths with the compass. We realize with each client, we have contracts where there are multiple members within those contracts, and each one of those members have dynamic are dynamic in their own right, with characteristics, their problems, and the solutions. Their solutions are customized to their particular problems, and so it calls for not a linear map or a hard line strategy that is kind of overlaid onto every client, but a compass to be able to, and that's what our some of our assessments are positioned to do, is to kind of gauge where they are, and particularly to their problems and their and customize solutions based upon their particular problems. And that's the ebbs and flows of this time. That is definitely what's needed. They're the cookie cutter, the cookie cutter blanket, where you are fitting every, client into this box. Yeah, that's not going to be applicable going forward. And so ultimately, moving forward with a compass rather than a map, and then proactively empowering those project teams by distributing leadership rather than hoarding control. And that's always necessary to be able to delegate. And so that transforms the stress into a catalyst for growth, and it models emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence, we do have a course in Gamma Learning with a really good book for emotional intelligence. I trained on that book, and it's really, really good. And I need, it's one of those ones you have to revisit the material again and again and again to make sure that you're treating people, that you're treating them well, and that you are handling situations with emotional intelligence. Yes, I'm guilty of that all the time too. Yes, of not doing that. So it's one of those ones you have to continue that you have to continue to revisit that information and reapply it and practice it and role play it over and over again, right? And so the fatigue test, everyone can feel the tension, the anxiety, and the stress created from the culture, the market, and the industry changes, and the widespread uncertainty. And so we're reimagining workplace health beyond the checkbox to say, okay, you did this, you did this, you did that, and moving, from that surface wellness to kind of dive deep into being resilient. And so, like I indicated, we're suggesting these stress resets and conducting them ourselves, those stress resets, where you have these kind of daily protocols um, um, to relieve stress and anxiety in high pressure industries, right? So I have been in male dominated industries for 3 decades, more than 3 decades. And so in each industry um, that I have been in has been male dominated, and it has been high pressure. It's been a high pressure industry. And so I would like to think over the decades that my ability to handle um, uh, some of the high pressure of those industries has improved. And I uh, can say for a fact that being a small business owner has helped that a lot, because I'm able to manage my schedule, um, manage my day, manage which clients we have, and the workflow. So being a small business owner actually has helped that a lot. So I don't have a schedule being given to me, but I'm actually planning my own schedule. So um, part of the tension, anxiety, and stress and is the adoption of new technology, AI technology. Lots to talk about that. Lots of buzz, exciting. I'm excited. I'm really excited about it. But we do have to acknowledge and differentiate um, AI teams and AI and types of work from human-led project teams and human led workflows. There is a differentiation and there is some tension there because AI doesn't sleep. AI doesn't eat or need a break. AI doesn't have a soul or a spirit. AI uh, can be programmed, according to some of those things. It doesn't have emotional, mental, or physical um, fatigue in the same way humans do. There's fatigue tests in terms of hardware and software and those limitations, which is different than humans. Um, but if I have a hybrid team who has an anxiety, tension, and stress to have to keep up with AI. I just got some reports today from one of my AI agents said they had a new marketing plan for me. I'm like, I'm still looking through I'm trying to implement the last marketing plan. I haven't even gotten to it yet. I got a message. I got a message from one of my AI agents that they redid the marketing plan. Then I got a message from my front desk agent that there were some folks at the website that they were talking to, and they needed me to approve some of the answers. And then I got another message from another agent that they're of my schedule for today, and maybe some of the things that I may have missed on yesterday. And that's in addition to all the notifications for different events and different places I'm supposed to be and stuff like that. It's been uh, prior to jumping on here to do the BOMAC talk, I was in signed out another meeting, but all of those had notifications and messages. Ding, 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 ding. Right. So yeah, that can be, it could be overwhelming because the AI is contacting you faster then you may be able to respond. And so you almost need AI to an agent to handle the agents, and the list goes on from there. But in any case, this is it's a management issue, a new management issue, and working through the dynamics of that is now going to be commonplace, right? And so as often as we always do, as we work through it, we'll share what we've learned. We'll share what we've learned. But that dynamic of it, we just have to acknowledge and say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be able to work at the pace of AI, so I'll let it do its thing, and then we'll have to have a workflow where the hybrid organizational structure will have a balance. We're not there yet, but it will. And we'll have a balance, right? And so human interaction, humans are going to need it. They're going to crave it. The younger generations coming in, they may be mobile first, AI first. And now we have these floodgates, as I'm doing shorts now. I haven't done shorts before. We hadn't, done shorts. Most of our clients are long-term clients. They are, like I said, they're multi-member clients, so we haven't had to, and we could send them their videos straight direct. Even with the launch, most of those videos, as they're applicable, we could send them to clients directly, or through a marketing meeting or one-on-one meeting. And so the floodgates through some of the platforms are at a fast pace, and the thoughts that come with that fast-paced information feed, those information feeds are just fast-paced, and the thoughts that come with that, the pace to which that information is fed to you is faster than what you can filter it, and faster than you could comprehend it. And so our subconscious mind, faster than we could be conscious of it, but our subconscious mind is kind of picking up these things really fast. And so, we have to watch our floodgates, got to watch the quality, and watch disintegration of boundaries, values, principles, standards, which is important to stability. We talked about stability. This is important to stability. Of operating excellence, but even from a social standpoint, from the family unit. So, yeah, hybrid human AI management still requires the basics of change management, right? And so it may be agile, it may be fast, but I heard that point. I was in a webinar on yesterday, and someone said that, and I just lit up. I was like, that's it. That's the process that's being overlooked just because the pace at which change is, coming into industry, changing market, and culture is so fast. We don't have time to do it. We don't have the time to do it, or once we kind of get a process of change management, things change again. But we should lead those basic change management activities, I think, in an agile style. Realize that, if your change management structure is whatever that is, you'll have to maybe start it over again, but you do have to do it. You have to consciously attempt to step individuals through a process to systematic way to process the change that is happening within the work environment. And you also could do that at home too, if it's a cultural change. But that's what a mindful manager does. That's part of the execution. If the vision and mission, like for 𝗪𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 is engineered for longevity, and when we are want to chart these infrastructures that are sustainable long term, even through changing markets, culture, and industry, then a mindful manager, in order to execute that, has to be agile in their change management activities, right? So that's how you level through uncertainty, presence, purpose, humanity. Yeah, because even with AI, someone has to manage it. Somebody has to build the space with all the data centers. Folks are still, humans are still in the loop and overseeing the day-to-day. So leveling through that uncertainty with stability, presence, purpose, and humanity. I like that, purpose, presence, and humanity. All right. So change management, there's probably many definitions and probably much better than what I'm about to articulate, but I'll give it a try. I'll give it a try. This definition is funny. Change management is the art of helping people through a transition so that they don't get left behind or quit when things are at work or changing. Let me say that again. That's pretty good. Change management is the art of helping people through a transition so that they don't get left behind or quit when things at work change. Say that a little different, but it's still good. A mindful manager cares about folks being left behind or quitting, giving up, or resisting, and in some of the change management activities we've been involved in, resisting the change. They may not get left behind or quit, but instead they're just going to resist the change and be opposition to it, right? And that's we talk about adoption, folks adopting, and the buy-in from stakeholders and those who would be doing the work. So change management for this conversation is the art of helping people through a transition so that they don't get left behind or quit when things at work at home, in the business, in the organization, change. And things are changing constantly, right? And so one of the 10 core service consulting services that we provide is project management, which focuses on the technical side, right? In all industries. Project manager, the role of project manager has went mainstream, and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole because we could talk a whole hour just about that. But yeah, project management and the role of a project manager is a mainstream role and activity, and particularly with our 𝗪𝗵𝗶𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 the work that a project manager does. So that's the difference between our project management training and any other trainings that you may encounter or take, encounter or train on. The industries we serve, we train specific to those industries, and preferably you should have base knowledge within those industries. And it may sound like common sense. However, I have been on teams, and I've discussed this in the Universal Language of Project Management, where I have teams and we are on a construction project, or I have teams, we're on a multimedia project, or I might have teams and we are on a design project, and the project managers running those projects have never ran a project with that subject matter before. And so, but they have been trained as a project manager, but just not in that industry. And so it becomes necessary on the technical side that project managers have technical expertise in the projects that they are trying to manage. And so change management focuses on the human side. And so, you know, we are getting trained on managing AI projects and charting through what that might look like as we transition into these new technology options and solutions for ourselves, and then for those clients who would contract with us for those types of services. And project management, we can chart through that technically. But the change management on the human side, ensuring that people actually are informed about the decisions that they're making. With all technology, we usually do demos, and just like when selecting or referring consultants or industry professionals, we give 3 or 4 options, or narrow it down to 3 or 4 options, and then do demonstrations, and then do an agile implementation to see, you know, how with the test group, how it might work, and give feedback and those types of things. Change management focuses on the human side and ensures people actually know how to use that technology, that, or can chart through whatever change. We're talking about technology, but chart through whatever change that may be. It may be merging mergers, acquisitions. It might be a new facility. It may be new location, new ownership, whatever that may be. I think that change management in this season should be forefront of mind. And I don't think it gets talked about enough. And it doesn't get talked about enough because I think uh, the fast pace to which things are moving, it's just being overlooked. And sidebar, so we're just experimenting, and it's not official. It's not an official plan. We don't have an official strategic plan just yet, and so we change managers are so formal. But I would challenge leaders and progressive leaders and mindful managers that I would challenge them to say change management has to be agile and not so formal, that there has to be ways to implement even in the short term change management activities so that there's some structure, some organizational structure as to how you're charting through changes that external and internal. Changes that are external to the organization, you can't control it. You can't control the market, industry changes, and how things are flowing. But even those things that you can change or that you can control internally, how you chart through those in a very structured way. And I don't know if I have a clear path to that, but we can both might talk about it. All right, I'm going to take about a 5-10 minute break. I'm going to come back, and then we're going to go through why the core concept, change management. We're going to talk about it a little bit more. Why this core concept is the way businesses should go in charting through uncertainty, distress, anxiety, and managing the human side of this AI project management and technical adoption and implementation. All right. So let's take about 5-10 minutes. Come back, and then we can pick it up from there.